Welcome back, everybody, to the Corporate Finance Academy. Today we're going to go through a day or a week in the life of an FP&A director who's making $250,000 or more per year. So we thought it would be great to give our different viewers here a taste of what it's actually like to be in some of these different corporate finance jobs. So this is an interview I conducted with a friend via email, and it talks through his experience as an FP&A director. So in this, we'll start with where is his job currently? What is it? What's his job details? How many people does he have work for him? We'll go through all of that, and we'll talk about how he got there. So what was his education? What was his career path? Then we'll spend some time in the day, week in the life. What's a day to day? What does he like about the job? What doesn't he like about the job? And we really thought this would just be a great way for folks to ground on what do some of these jobs look like? What is it like to actually be a director in a company? And you'll understand how the size and magnitude of the company he's in, and just starts to give everybody a feel for, is this something that they would want to do, and what is that experience like? So his job title is Director of FP&A, and he has a team size of 20. So he has 3 direct reports and 17 people underneath them. And compensation totals out to about $300,000 per year. $175,000 base, 25% annual bonus. When we did this email interview, I actually know that they've subsequently been promoted. And their base salary is up over $200,000 now. So they've continued on a really nice trend. They're in Fortune 50 healthcare, southeastern region of the U.S., and pretty good work-life balance, honestly. If you think about being at the director level, he typically works 8 to 5, 5:30. He has occasional spikes when you get to the quarter ends or the budgeting season. Very rarely does he ever work on the weekends. So you can see that, sometimes you get into these leadership roles, you get into the right company, you find your kind of safe spot where you feel like you can operate really efficiently and you don't change jobs. That can actually help you out quite a bit with your work-life balance. That's not to say that, he didn't have stretches in jobs in the past where he had to work harder than 8 to 5, but it just shows you that you can be out there in corporate finance making $300,000 a year and have a pretty good work-life balance overall. So his education and career path, he actually had a bachelor's in engineering, and then he did an MBA, a full-time MBA, and it's a very important designation from a top 25. And those of you who've read some of my stuff, I think an MBA from a top 25 full-time is a pretty good investment. Part-time MBAs from local universities, state schools, those typically don't really have much of a payback if it's something personally you want to achieve, but it's probably not going to help you too much in your finance career. His entry point into corporate finance was he interned after his first year MBA program for a Fortune 100. He ended up accepting full-time offer when he graduated, and the rest is history. So it took him 18 years to get to the $300,000 mark, and his career path was, and remember, he did an advanced degree, but he came into corporate finance as a senior finance analyst, 4 years as a finance manager, 4 years as a senior finance manager, and 7 years as a director. There were 1 or 2 company changes in that, but most of those promotions came internal. Another thing to remember there. Okay, so what does a day or week in the life look like? So the way he explains his overall job description is so much of his time is meeting with people and spending time with people. Now that might be his own team, his one under ones, but it could be his internal customers, could be his own team. And you'll see later he supports the IT organization. So he's working with the CIO, their teams, the VPs. He's helping people understand problems, how to solve them, and helping people think through how to get to the solutions. And what he really likes is he owns the capital budget. He gets to help decide where the company invests its money internally, make sure that they're investing in high returning projects, trying to figure out how to get the value out of a project that seems like a good idea. and they're having trouble understanding and showing those benefits. You get into these capital allocation projects, you have kind of hard savings, you have soft savings, sometimes it leads to incremental revenue. Those things can be really difficult to quantify in a believable way. So that's part of what he's out there doing. The main thing really, and I would say he's at a company where he's pretty happy with where he's at, but the thing that struggles is he's at a $100 billion plus company. The bureaucracy associated with it really can make things slow, require a lot of greasing of the skids. So that's really his chief complaint with his current role. So the actual day-to-day. So there's definitely differences pre-COVID, post-COVID. I think now they're on some folks are on a hybrid schedule with several days a week still required in the office. But as I mentioned, he supports the CIO and 8 VPs in IT. And I know several people who've done this type of position. It can be tricky, and you have to be able to speak the language of IT and translate it into finance and vice versa. His days typically would start for him around 8 a.m. and it starts with stand-ups. So the CIO and some of the VPs have stand-up meetings in the morning, which is kind of a status to see what's going on and what needs to get done. From there, when they're in the office, most of his team is in by 9. Some people come in at 7, some people come in at 8:30, but pretty much everyone is in at 9. So he kind of does morning hellos. He checks in with several people. He knows what folks are working on, checks in to see how things are going, helps out with urgent items. But the balance of his day is going to be filled up with, there's a pretty good chunk of meetings, but also just some head down work at the desk. But he's reviewing, and a lot of the meetings are reviewing and providing feedback to his team. They might be working on a capital allocation project and they're not sure how it's going to go, or they want to get his eyes on it, get some feedback. He's out there helping to provide that feedback. And the same thing goes with the quarter close process, reporting process, budgeting. He's there to help. He's also helping the folks he supports within the IT organization match them to the right person within his organization or even outside of his organization. And I think any good manager is always ready to jump in on a fire drill to help, whether that's with their own team or it's with the folks you support, your customers. On a weekly to monthly cadence, there's weekly reports that show the results of the prior week. There's different projects related to labor burn rates that they're checking on and tracking that they have to report out on. They present capital requests every week where they have them, and he also has to approve purchases. And one of the things he pointed out was this is a great opportunity for him to help coach the team. He helps coach them to put together a concise and convincing capital allocation request. But he also this is where they get to present out to higher levels of leadership, and then he gets to coach them afterwards, give them feedback on how they're doing, and just a really good opportunity. And then there's a number of monthly close responsibilities where they do their closing reporting, which takes about 4 days on the week of close. They also have to update the forecast, which is a couple days. And if you think about that, that's about a week of your month. A little over a week really, that goes into just regular cadence. And then there's other monthly reporting that is done throughout the month, and depending on which month of the quarter it is, there's also often some board of director preparation support that's needed for the CIO. So he's there to help with all of that. You get a feel for what director life is like. It's not all about creating spreadsheets. You're not creating these massive templates. You are instructing, you're helping, you're getting paid more to think than to do. You're helping to connect the dots, you're helping to push projects, you're helping to spot risks and opportunities in different things. So you become much more of, the term business partner is getting overused a little bit, but you're really a partner to the customers that you have, which are, in this case, the CIO and the CIO's organization. And again, you start to transition every rung you climb on the ladder, you start to spend more time thinking than doing. So this is a good example of somebody who's at pretty high level at a pretty big company and what their day-to-day looks like. So that's it. This is the first of our day in the life series. We're going to try to do some more of these. Would love to hear your feedback. Would love to hear jobs that you would like to see us do a day in the life on. We may even switch to a little bit of a true interview format here. But if you have questions, leave them below. Be sure to subscribe and join our newsletter. You go to the site. There's also some free templates you can get there. And if you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments or drop us an email. Thanks again, and we'll be back soon.